On today's Minute Apes, little known fact, they actually went back into the scene and replaced the gun with a walkie-talkie.
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies, 1 minute at a time. I'm Todd, and I'm going to say it right here up front. If I win that stinking Mega Millions, I am not going to pay off all my debt first. I'm not going to pay off my daughter's student loans. First thing I'm doing is buying a damn board where I actually have dedicated channels so I can mute, and I don't have to also ramp levels as we go along. Jesus, I'm tired of doing that.
I thought for sure you were going to say you were going to buy like 100,000 crystals and Star Wars and buy every character and just like quit the game then.
No,
Fuck
actually,
you.
what I'm and we're referencing again Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, and I am the hater of the group because I just get sick of that the game changes and leaves people behind at times. No, what I'm actually doing is I'm going to buy the company and shut it down. Fuck them all.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, here it is, a Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, boys.
Hey.
Richard's doing comic book work on Tuesday.
I am, yeah.
His big D's are still across from me.
Staring you in the eyes.
So since yesterday proved to be such a deeply discussed minute, let's get
Not
right
disgusting, but discussed.
discussed. It was a longer than we usually do for a Monday. I've noticed kind of the average numbers and length. And Mondays tend to be a little bit shorter than other. We actually approached 30 minutes yesterday, so I'm a little worried that we might go long. So, Sean,
All right.
what's 52 got in store for us?
We're going to start minute 52 with a testimony to kids' resilience and ends with Limbo getting into some light bondage play.
All right, here it comes. Minute 52, Limbo, Marky Mark, and the Planet of the Apes.
Oh, these kids, they bounce right back.
Play dead.
Kill him.
Slave trader.
You kill him, and you'll only lower yourself to his level.
Exactly. Oh, she is extremely smart. You know, I've heard her talking about apes and humans. Oh, separate but equal, to each his own. Oh, something like that, right? Look, whatever it is, I agree with it completely. Can't we all just get along? I'm probably just in the way right now, so why don't I just get going,
He'll lead them to us.
Don't make him our guest. Cuff him.
As minute 52, we have an Oberon's worth of apes and humans, 2 displaced pods worth of humans and apes, wild humans, Ape City, minus 2 gorillas, and humans still on the loose.
All right, so visually we've got Leo holding the gun on Limbo, Limbo pulling the kid close before he kneels down, and very much what feels like it's out of a cop movie. We have the power shot of Leo aiming down at Limbo before Helena decides to run in front and save Limbo. We get a lot of talking back and forth. She oddly pushes him aside instead of slapping the shit out of him, which I still, even though she's supposed to be the peacemonger in this, I found a little odd that she didn't have that duality to her. But it is back and forth until we see his little footsie looking for the, I guess, spear.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, spear. And Leo decides to shoot the crap out of it. Limbo moves out of the way. She pulls Limbo back, and we get a little bit of more discussing. So it's a very discuss-deep moment. Oddly, for everything that was wrong yesterday, I don't find, I'm going to say this as an inclusive statement to the whole minute, I don't find as much wrong with today
Okay.
as that I don't sense the tension that they want it to be. That's something that right away from this whole moment when I watched it was, shouldn't this be the height of, number one, we've only got 36 hours. Number two, we've got people chasing us we are sure that are more dangerous than Limbo. And we're all kind of playing nice with the gun and whatnot.
Well,
we can get into it tomorrow because they do go more into tomorrow. But this was kind of the first sense of an actual solid political thought.
Okay.
Referencing, like the early films having constant dealing with stuff going on at the moment.
Right.
That's why I referenced the gun, because this is actually a year before, what's his name changed E.T. from guns to walkie-talkies.
What's his name? Might be
So maybe something is happening politically in America at this particular moment that made them want to reference gun or gun violence or gun control.
Okay.
Which we can talk about later on in the film. But
and then there's
being,
the obvious thing too, that there is a Rodney King reference.
oh yeah, can we all? Well, which kids today, do they even get that?
So
that
there are
joke or not,
political
but-
things to it, and we can get to the Rodney King element of it, which I think is incredibly tasteless. But I sense that too, in that there is very much a discussion. We hear the slave trader type thing exchange, and it made me think, why aren't we seeing a true slave trading situation? We had that in Conquest when they're taking
they're literally putting them on an auction block.
Yeah, and they're selling the apes at that point. Why haven't we seen that?
Well,
and
we
that
saw
would ring so true.
We
now.
saw a hair of it whenever they were in the carts, and he's like, put the women
enough.
over there and the men over there, and
But we should have seen them on an auction block.
It's not as dark as it could be. It's not as rough or what I'm trying to say. It's just I don't feel you said the tension. I don't feel the tension of I don't feel the tension of these words.
I don't either.
And they didn't do enough early on to make me feel that for it to be relevant here. But I do like the fact that they're trying to bring some of that back in.
Without question.
With the reference to the gun and the reference to slave trading and so on.
So I totally agree with that. But I also totally agree with they've done nothing preceding this to set up the ideas of slave trading. Paul Giamatti at this point, whether the kid is pissing him off or not, he shouldn't want to harm him too much because he's a good, strong young boy, and there needs to be more of these elements for there to be that inherent tension the scene needs.
We start off at the beginning when he says, these kids bounce right back, and Limbo is actually knocking on the kid's
I was about
skull,
to say,
and I'm like, is this a comedy? Like this went into comedic territory when he knocked the kid on the
also
skull.
with the ferocity he did it. They had to do multiple takes. Do you think he'd not like that kid? Because he beat the shit out of his head when he
knocked him pretty hard, yeah.
And so he had to do that 4 or 5 times at least. And so, which one hurt more, his head or his knuckles?
Yeah, and the kid just has like this dumb look on his face.
Yeah. He learned it from Marky Mark.
There's a element to which the play dead could have been like a really great line.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't really make any sense. Like, where did it come from? And does this ape even know what play dead mean? Like, it was just kind of like, play dead, man.
Well, yeah, you play dead, then you get slave traders. So little things are being knocked about. And that's when Ari
Ari
comes forward, and her companion back there, Mr. Bald Dude, makes a very shallow attempt to stop her from coming forward. That ends up playing like almost weirdly comedic in and of itself when she steps forward. Hey, you can't do this, because he needs to see the gravity of the situation and yank at her. But it's like there are these cursory ideas of what should be mounting in the scene, and it's not there.
Yeah.
So when she stepped forward, that's almost the thing that makes me giggle the most about the scene. As good as Helena is in this performance, we've not done enough to understand why she feels the need to not only protect humans but apes alike.
Right.
Because if she is so anti-ape treatment of humans, why don't she? And he's a slave trader, kill his ass. Why isn't she the one going, kill him?
I mean, not that I want to see...
Because she's anti-slave trading, but she's also a humanitarian or apetarian or whatever you want to call it.
But we need to see more of that.
Yeah.
Not that I want to see any more of that crazy wire leaping.
Yeah.
It would have made more sense for her to jump into the situation
True.
for this.
I can see
to
that,
push
yeah.
to push him aside to get into the fire of the gun. Because again, we've got like basically 10 seconds of a pregnant pause where he's pointing the gun, giving time for him to just kind of walk over and just kind of saunter into the thing, getting ready to the gun. Like it could have been cut better. She could have moved a little more rapidly. Just something to give us that sense.
The whole kill him and you only lower himself to your level. There was a joke by Dennis Miller a long time ago. It was basically, we'll lower ourselves to their level, but at least there'll be one less of them at the victory party.
I I'm going to jump ahead to the next series of movies and say a character. I'm not going to ruin anything for you, but there's a character of Koba. Mm-hmm. And Koba is a character that we entirely are built to understand, and then when his actions occur,
you can kind of understand why.
You understand entirely, and I'm not saying you almost sympathize with a character who is a little corrupt. And I think that these new films, that even when Gary Oldman's in the second one, his character is despicable to a point, but when you understand
why he's doing it,
these things are. I'm not saying they're easy to do, but there's a structure to this. We know this, whether it's be we reading comic books or playing video games or watching movies. If you give me this and then pay it off here, then it means something. I've never hated this movie more in the moment than I do now, seeing Ari not being enough of who she is. She's probably the most interestingly complex character in that she sees the truths of this world and the fractures. She should be our eyes into this. But instead, we have Mr. No Personality lowering a gun like he's a cop ready to blow somebody's head off.
Right.
If he's just an astronaut that's not accustomed to this, why isn't his hand shaking? Why is he so sure of himself? We've not done enough to build his character. Maybe he's a Marine that went bad. I don't know.
I do have a question about the new movies without trying to get too deep into it.
Okay.
Does Koba live in a cabana?
And the Koba.
Hang on, note to self. This episode called Koba Live in a Cabana.
No, yes, to everything you just said. Now, he did say that he was part of the Air Force, that he was an officer in the Air Force.
But we should have seen that he was discharged for, aggressive behavior or something. And if that happens, then we see him act this way. That makes sense, and it works.
It does.
And it also pays off, too, then when he starts acting aggressively.
And we're having to lean into Limbo basically acting his way through this scene. Again, he's more interesting than what's happening with Leo. Leo is not compelling. He just says, play dead. And then... cuff him. I mean, there's nothing really exciting about Leo's dialogue at all. It really comes down to Limbo acting through this entire scene. Mm-hmm. Helena giving us a little bit here, but they didn't give her any sense of urgency in this moment, which is what we needed to give her to get the actor. But it's just the two of them in the scene. Well, everybody else is just kind of.
I do like the apiness again, where taking off his shoe to try to reach with his foot to grab for the pole.
I like those things too. But I want to go back to Leo. And I'm going to challenge the two of you. That's not a big challenge. What is the thing right now that should be driving everything about Leo?
Well, he wants to get home.
He has 36 hours.
Yeah.
He should be saying in this moment, and I hate to go for a cheesy line, I don't have time for this.
Well,
he has no urgency to his 36 hours.
Well, he's basically gonna take Limbo with them. What is he expecting to do with these people?
How many people is he going to take?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what he said. Like in the earlier minute, I got 36 hours to get out of this nightmare. What happens to us? He never answered that question.
Right. He's just got a gun. He's about to get out, and he's still taking all these. He's parading all these people. He's dragging all these people on. He's just going to ghost them when it gets up to that ship.
Well, and also, why is this a nightmare? Because I never thought of that when we talked yesterday. Why is this 36 hours? Why is this planet a nightmare to him? Has he really seen anything that is nightmarish outside of that apes talk? Nothing.
Well, humans being enslaved.
These are the biggest unmotivated, undefined, uncaring, unreactive characters in a world that should be a chaotic world that I've ever seen. It's fucking boring. And Leo is the worst of them all.
He's the worst of them all.
He's just holding a gun on people. I know Mark Wahlberg can be good. He's the wrong person for this role, and I think that's part of it. I think, again, I said this, I think, last week or week before. You put somebody like Chris Evans in this, he has so much more charisma. Chris Pratt could do this.
Seriously, yeah, neither Chris's.
Somebody like that has a little bit more...
One, a Hemsworth, Evans, a Pratt, or whatever you want.
It's weird. There's a really good podcast called It Happened in Hollywood that the Hollywood Reporter does, where they talk to actors... of famous films or famous moments, that moment to change your life. Probably the most interesting one ever was Harry Hamlin, because he talks about Clash of the Titans. That dude, first off, do you know he's educated from Yale? No. He's like a super smart dude.
You have to understand, he was like my major boy crush. Because he ran around in like a loincloth in half that movie.
I told Shelley, I was like, I've never disliked him. I love him now. He's so brilliantly smart when you listen to him. The reason I bring it up is he auditioned for Indiana Jones. And I thought, how interesting would that be? Because he has a personality and he could bring it. It would be very different than what Harrison did.
Very different, yeah.
I don't think there's anything outside of Dirk Diggler that I would look at Mark Wahlberg and go, well, he'd be an interesting choice for that. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't quite get it.
Well, they didn't really give him much in this moment.
No, they did not.
He basically just
they
says,
are
play
failing
dead,
him.
bring him along. You know, there's not
He would
much
be
to
an
this.
interesting anti-hero. Let's talk. We've talked about that. He would be interesting because of his stoic nature.
Okay.
If they had truly made him an angry anti-hero with a dark past, he could be fan-fucking-tastic in this moment.
Wow.
But instead...
And
why does he give a shit?
And everybody else is just a sexy baboon.
Why isn't he just killing everyone around him? Yes, that's great. There's the second title for this, a sexy baboon. But why isn't he just killing everyone and going?
I don't know.
Anyway,
so let's talk about the terrible flash explosion.
The bang. Well, I'm about to say
your point earlier about last minute.
He blew up a tree with it. Now, I mean, and he's shooting at a person's foot. I mean, good lord.
Yeah, but it's that really terrible. Like, there's a small, tiny flash explosive in the underneath the wood.
Well, it's
it's so comedic. It's almost funny.
It's a ball of fire behind Helen.
Yeah,
at 40 seconds. It's boom. That is fucking nuclear thermal like warfare.
Yeah, so
there.
it's like a little bit mini
nuclear
gas explosion. It's a gasoline, that orange and yellow cloud. I mean, it's a pyrotechnic explosion. It's not a concussive force being hit by something.
I almost wish it would be like Jango Fett's things he shoots at the back of slavery that go and hit and then go wow. If it did something like that was delayed, I would find that more interesting than boom.
I know. It looks terrible. And then, of course, Limbo starts to walk away. I'm probably just in the way now, so I'll get along going. And then, Ari grabs him and pulls him back. But this is a comedy minute. She pulls him back in such a comedic way. I'm expecting her to go.
Yeah, you almost want to.
I'm expecting.
You almost want to hear
exactly.
Yoink. You want to hear that.
Yeah,
yoink.
Yoinks. Because it's what it looks like she's doing to him. And she looks him right in the eye like,
well, that's the funny thing to me is when she looks him in the face, and I'm like, are they going to lick each other's faces? What are they doing here?
Oh.
And then, first off, you take such amazing care of yourself, and I know this as a drummer. My forearms are more defined than anywhere else from all the drumming, right? His forearms, Leo's forearms, Jesus Christ, are yours that well defined? If you held a gun, would they be
here,
like...
let me go get a gun real quick.
I mean, am I that lean? We only look.
Is that the lean?
If you're lean, yeah, at the moment. I don't think I'm that lean right now, but yeah.
I mean, Jesus, if anything that's impressive so far about his performance, his forearms look absolutely
He might have
magnificent.
dehydrated right before that shot.
But, we get Leo just... And so that very masculine nature of holding a gun out towards the looking element of the frame and then cuff him.
Yeah, that's...
First off, did we see the cuffs prior to this and I missed it?
I don't think so.
I get it that they came with the apes, but
They
did we
came
see
with
them?
because they were going to put on the kid, and so we might. I don't know that we saw them unless they were just kind of fumbling around with them. I don't know. I don't think so.
Cuff them, though, is an idea that comes with cops and things like that.
Well, and also, I mean, you're I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of, but you're taking a word and making it smaller. You're abbreviate, not even abbreviate, but it's handcuffs, so you're making it cuffs. But we that's the human term. We don't know that this society calls those handcuffs. They could be called bracelets, and you call them brace them instead of
why
cuff
doesn't
them.
call them restrain them?
Yeah,
it's something like that. That it's. The thing that bothered me is that, again, I hadn't seen the handcuffs before.
Yeah, they didn't.
We get the cutaway shot of our bald African-American gentleman falling into the shrubs, but we don't get a tumbling shot of somebody dropping the cuffs.
Right.
And it would be funny at that point if he said cuff him, if somebody said, what?
Well,
put those on him.
We technically didn't see the spear fall that Limbo's about to reach for with his foot. Now,
but at the same time, we saw them hitting each other with something.
Okay, fair.
Oh yeah, the kid had that, I think.
Yeah, somebody had something where they were smacking the crap out of each other, but I know you don't have to have a cutaway shot of everything falling, but okay, if we're going to say that somebody had the spear and they're smacking each other, we did not see anybody with the cuffs, or did they try to put them on the kid and we missed that moment?
They did.
Well, that's
and I got
about to say.
I got the names backwards. The kid's name is Gunner and the African American's name is Burn. But they were jumbling kind of back and forth. So
yeah, I was going to say if we'd seen the apes like actually putting the cuffs on the kid after he had hit Limbo a couple of times, or like putting on one hand, and then whenever Davidson shoots his gun. That's when you see the cuffs fall off or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to build your moment.
We don't need the insert of the guy falling into the bushes after being thrown by Limbo. We need an insert of cuffs falling down.
Yeah.
Well, I love that his two guards are completely disappeared.
And so
I thought the same
completely
thing.
gone. So they're so concerned about Limbo going back and telling them where they are. What about the two guards that just got out?
That left. And
They
can
saw
tell
the
everybody.
big. They saw the big explosion. And went, see ya.
Bye ya.
Well, I'm out of here.
Yeah, because I'm glad that your script told us earlier because that was my last note for this minute. And I guess where those other two guards fuck off to you.
Bye.
Well,
Bye,
now
bitch.
we know they're not loyal to him.
You know what that tells me? It's time for us to say bye.
Bye.
I think so, yeah.
That is it. Minute 52. We'll be back tomorrow. Everyone have a great day.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.